What's going on, Badger Nation? Welcome to the PPC Den podcast, your home of the longest running Amazon PPC podcast in the universe. Today, I'm joined by my dear friend, agency owner, talented gigabrain, Brent from AMZ Pathfinder. Brent, how are you doing? Do you consider yourself a gigabrain?
I'm not familiar with the term, but I'll accept the mantle gladly. I know Giga Chad. I don't think I fall in Giga Chad. That's a different category. Giga Brain? Yeah, sure. Why not?
You just finished up we were in Italy at the same time, did not see each other, but you were finishing up a pretty epic cycling trip.
That's right.
Your pictures made me not jealous because I was in Italy at the same time.
In the next town over, yeah.
Yeah.
Although I think I ate more than you because I was consuming a tremendous amount of energy riding every day and burning all these calories, and then I had to do what you do in Italy, which is eat insane amounts of carbs. So
you were PBG, powered by gelato.
That is true. I ate one every single day.
You need to.
I need it. It's for my health.
Yes. Just for the listeners out there, how many miles or kilometers did you ride in what amount of time?
Yeah, so the trip, the bulk of the trip was about like a week and a half or a 2-week period. I took some break days in between there, and it was mostly in and around Tuscany area because it was part of like a larger event. But I didn't track it in miles, so I don't know what the conversion is, but it was about 1,000 kilometers. And I have the elevation somewhere, but it was a lot of climbing, especially on the days when I was in more remote areas of Tuscany. So saw a lot of small towns. And, the funny thing about Italy is a lot of small towns don't have services. So if you're hungry, you got to go to like the tobacco store and buy like, gummy worms or whatever to keep you going. You can't really, if you sit down and have a full meal in Italy, it's like an occasion, you don't just eat something quick. So, a lot of pit stops at small towns that had almost no services in the middle of the heat in Tuscany. Exciting times.
That's wild. Yeah, it's hot in Italy right now. So that's awesome. I am a Terra brain, so I know that about 1,000 kilometers is about 600 miles.
That sounds about right. Yeah. Maybe a little bit over. I don't know, but it was not about the distance. This event was really about the scenery and actually kind of going slow. Trying to take it easy and really enjoy and soak it all in.
Right on. One area that's not moving slow right now is Amazon, rolling out a whole bunch of new updates. Amazon Marketing Stream is a big one. Next episode, I'll be talking about that. But today we have sort of hot off the presses. In fact, I was poking around in 3 client accounts today. I did not see this. And however, there is help documentation for it. It is expanded product targeting. So anytime there's an update in targeting capabilities, how you can target, who you can target, what you can target, it's always worth thinking about incorporating it into your overall mental map of all the targets that are available. And Brent, what is this new targeting option? Hit the drum roll.
Do you want me to actually drum on the desk, or should I just... Well, I'll say this. I mean, it seems to me at first, Mike, when we were discussing this, like, is this a feature, looking for a solution? Like, what was this built for? But then as we discussed it more, examined it more, I started to come around on it a little bit. And essentially, it's like bolting on some aspects that we know and love already from auto campaigns onto ASIN targeting and manual campaigns. Think of it like a strange little hybrid feature that's kind of related to that. And I don't know, who at Amazon this is the brainchild or genesis of. I'm sure there's a small team working on it. But it kind of came out with a whisper. I mean, I just like you, looked in some client accounts. Don't think I saw this anywhere. Yet help topics do exist, and here we are discussing it. And it has some interesting implications.
Yeah. So the targeting feature is expanded product targeting. So just to recap the again, mental map, like how do we think about these things? You have product ads products that are yours that you are advertising. And then you have targeting, which are where you want your product ads to appear. So there's different kinds of targeting. There's keyword targeting where you're saying, hey, go put my product near these keywords when they are searched. And then of course there's product targeting where you say, go serve my product near these other products. Most people know that to be product display pages, but can product targets only appear on product detail pages?
No. Common misconception. Yeah. And maybe something we should take a minute to dispel, actually. So think of what Mike's just described with the ASIN target. You're basically stalking these ASINs you're targeting. It's not that you're showing up only on their product detail page, although that will happen. But if you take a look at any campaign you've created that has ASIN targeting and go to the bid modification by placement area with the appearance there, you'll note that there are impressions and clicks being incurred in all the different slots. So top of search, product page, and rest of search. All those are represented. And usually it breaks down in the way that you'd expect, higher impressions in product pages, but much higher cost per click, and in many times spend in top of search, even though it gets a small fraction of the actual impressions.
Yes. So that's very confusing. And just to recap again, if you're targeting an ASIN in product targeting, so manual sponsored product campaign, you're targeting a product, just like you said, Brent, you're following that product around, and you can follow it around to search pages as well. So somebody typed in some word, they see that product, you're stalking that product, and boom, there you are. So that's product targeting in a nutshell. And in your own personal sort of optimization scheme, where do you normally get to product targeting? How have you used normal historic product targeting in the past?
I could think of several examples. Let's go with the most famous one that I think people talk about a lot, which is this idea that, we're going to target ourselves, and that's a defensive campaign. And so we're going to kick competitor placements of ads off of our own product detail pages. And to accomplish that, you might need to actually modify that bid modifier by placement for the product detail page in order to do it. A counterexample would be the exact opposite. Let's go get ourselves on product detail pages for competitors and try to steal sales from people who are landing on their page. And there are a couple other use cases I can think of. One would be, let's find products that are a similar price to ours in the marketplace or at parity with them. Our offer, relatively speaking, is similar. Or maybe products that are more or less expensive, because price is a big consideration on Amazon. And the performance of those could go either way. You could say, let's piggyback on these more expensive products and offer ourselves as a cheaper option, or let's offer ourselves as the premium version of this cheaper product. You have to test these things. There's no manual that says, it's always going to work if you do it like this. That's just some of the scenarios I can think of. I don't know. That's all I got at the tip of my tongue, Mike. You have any that are related?
Yeah, to me, the thing that comes up right away is the classic search term graduation. You cast a wide net, let's say an auto campaign, you find the things that convert well, and then you can sort of graduate them up to more refined specific targeting. Because in the auto, you're bidding one bid for hundreds of impressions, and then you can sort of just pluck the impressions that you want into a product targeting campaign and bid what that product target is worth to your company in terms of how much revenue you're generating from it, so that you can fine tune how much you want to pay to appear with that product. So that's how product targeting is generally thought of. Those are some examples of doing it. There's tons of different product targeting. Target your competitors' products. There's tons of stuff that you can do. And the way that it's always worked was that product targeting is always exact match. You punch in a product, ASIN, you follow that ASIN around. So wherever that product is, you'll appear hopefully on the product pages. If that product appears in a search result, you'll appear on that search result. So that was the way that product targeting was done up until now. So some new things have come out where we have product targeting, as we know, as we've described so far, where you target a product and you put your product ad near that product. Now you can have the option of basically turning your product targeting to broad match product targeting, or as it's officially known, expanded product targeting. And in Amazon's example, just read this right from the support doc. For example, if you're targeting a coffee maker to promote your own item, so I'm selling something, I'm targeting a specific coffee maker, and I click expanded product targeting, this feature enables you to target items that include substitutes, other coffee makers, and complements, coffee filters, and other items that shoppers may browse along with the targeted coffee maker. So two very familiar words in that sentence, substitutes and complements. We know those from Automattic sponsored products.
Yeah, it rings a lot of bells, doesn't it? And the first time I read that, I thought, oh, okay, I understand. I think conceptually what this is a lot better now, because we already know and love those two things. And correct me if I'm wrong, but there's substitutes and complements, and those are the ASIN categories for auto. And then there's the other ones, the names
Close
of which...
and loose.
Close and loose. And that has to do more with keywords, right? So you have four different like subcategories. And it's been a long time now, but you can, technically bid on those at separate levels inside auto campaigns, or do what we do sometimes, which is build 4 separate ad groups, each with their own thing, and then, tweak and adjust as necessary. But what they're giving us here is 2 of those 4 things, because yet again, we're not chasing keywords.
Yeah, exactly. So this whole thing of product targeting is primarily geared on targeting products. So now when you type in a competitor product and you click expanded product targeting, you're going to be targeting products that are related to that product that you're targeting. So it'll find substitutes to that product. So if it's a coffee maker, it'll find other coffee makers, and it'll also find complements, things that might be complementary to that product as well. There's this third part of their description too, other items that shoppers may browse along with the targeted coffee maker. So, they're just tracking people's clicks and seeing, hey, they clicked on that coffee maker that you're targeting, but then they also clicked on this other thing later. So like that is going to get lumped in here too. So associated browsing history, I guess, would be the third thing here.
Amazon sometimes calls that basket building, right? They're trying to figure out, okay, well, I'm on Amazon already. I'm shopping around. What do I need that's an ancillary product related to it? Or in Brand Analytics, they have that one tab that's like comparison shopping or something like that. And it tells you, what did someone look at in addition to your product, and what's the ultimate decision they made in terms of purchasing, And that's a great category in Brand Analytics, not to get too off topic, but like we look at that to create campaigns or to examine competitors. It's nice. And maybe this is doing some of that for us. Although, my antenna also goes up a little bit, Mike, when I hear that, like, oh, by the way, we also threw this in, because it's like, wait, what are you doing? What else are you putting in here? How are you targeting this? I get suspicious, but that's just, the cynical side.
Yeah. So substitutes and complements is already a big thing, right? Like what's complementary to a coffee maker? I don't know. So many things. Coffee beans, I don't know. A
vacuum
bajillion
pack,
things.
storage ceiling thing. I don't drink coffee, but I know people use that. Yeah.
Exactly. So there's so many things that could be associated with it. And then you have another third bucket, which is just like common browsing history. So we've sort of withheld our opinions here. And I guess we can first talk about why this makes sense. To me, where does this fit in and like the ways that you can target? Well, now you can sort of, because we think of an auto campaign, right? Auto campaign, you punch your product in, and then it goes and finds substitutes and complements to your product. Straightforward. Now it's going to find substitutes and complements to any product. So you can type in any product now, and it'll find substitutes and complements to that other product. So now you can target other channels here. And again, it's sort of narrow. Like you can kind of already do this kind of targeting. Like you kind of assume that if your product is relevant enough for it to trigger an auto campaign, it probably needs to be relevant enough to like target in this expanded product targeting, because Amazon does want their ads to be relevant. So if you try to just target anything and you have an awful click-through rate and an awful conversion rate, you're probably going to be suppressed doing that targeting regardless of what you bid. So there's need to be relevant, of course, but it does fill in a slightly different targeting need where it's like, hey, I want to target products that are related to that other product, and maybe it's not even mine, but I want to go after sort of that sphere of products. So you're targeting substitutes and complements to anyone's product now, as opposed to in an auto campaign, we were targeting substitutes and complements to your product. So it's pretty interesting there.
Right, because as far as I'm aware, you're not able to set up an auto campaign and target a product that's not yours. So you can't get that same functionality. It does not exist. So here we are with that now in a somewhat limited capacity. And I guess the other thing to say is the one of the reasons I see this as being potentially useful is it's kind of like a shortcut, right? If we're talking about why it makes sense or how to use it, like we spend a lot of time and energy generating lists of ASINs that we think are along a certain theme. Like I talked about earlier, higher price, lower price, similar offer, maybe even ones that are high traffic, for instance. And maybe this can take some of that legwork and shorten that actually and do it for us. Like Amazon's intent with having this exist is let's make this easier for more people, because, we as an agency or someone who's an advanced PPC optimizer really understands things, has tools and systems they use to like get a bunch of ASINs at scale, or like scrape a bunch of these and filter them and then put them through this thing and deduplicate and blah, blah, blah. And then on the other side of that comes out like this nice, well-manicured list. Maybe this is a way to automate some of that and use their first-party data and intelligence on their end.
Totally well said. One job of a PPCer is to go out there and find a whole bunch of new keywords and targets to go target based off the historic data that you have. And, you might find a keyword and then you might throw it in a phrase or abroad to find related things to that, right? Like, so like you do your base level research and then you're like, let me throw some broad and phrase in here so that I can plant those seeds and find related terms to that. This is very similar to that. It's like, oh, I found this product. Now let me go find related products to that product. That is sort of the spirit, I think, of this thing, to sort of shortcut that process where it helps you find related things. There's some caveats to that, though. Some sort of skepticism or heavy consideration to make. Because if you think about the way like a phrase or a broad works in a targeting strategy, you're like, let me go find words related to this word. But with targeting substitutes and complements, that word related is stretched a lot, because a lot of times when you're targeting, product targeting, and you find something that works, you usually have an intention like, oh, I'm going to do product targeting for my competitors. I'm going to do product targeting for myself. I'm going to do product targeting for products with, a 4-star rating or less under a certain price point. Like that's the kind of sort of refinement that you're looking for. With this, it does not appear that you can do that kind of pre-filtering, where it's like, I want to target this products related to it, but keep it under a certain price range. So it wouldn't make sense if you target a product, you're like, oh, I do really well compared against products that are $10. But if it's going to show me for products for any price range, it sort of takes away some of that control. Mm-hmm. So that's where it might make more sense to do sort of a category targeting or a brand level targeting, where you can then refine that product targeting. So sort of that other kind of product targeting, where you can say, hey, target this category of products, but only do it with star ratings from A to B and do it from price ranges from, D to C. So like you can control more that way. And it does look like we lose a little bit of that control with expanded product targeting, which is probably the biggest asterisk in terms of strategy here.
Well, to their credit, back to the some of the structural elements of it, they do give us the data though. So it's not a black box like some of these other Amazon things that we've had in the past, or like, where does it show up? Like, shrug. I don't know. We do get the information in the reports. And what was the phrase it uses? Product expanded. So it does have it in the search term column. You get the data. And so it's appended with product expanded. And then I suppose it gives you an ASIN, right? In the targeting or search term column. And you can also set them as negatives, or you can take them and move them to their own exact match. Well, exact match, because that's effectively what it is. ASIN targets in a different campaign or the same campaign, whatever you wish to do, whatever your organizational structure that makes sense. So you can, see what things aren't working and set negatives against them. No harm, no foul. After the couple clicks that you've used to assess performance, maybe you go and chase down that ASIN yourself and say, this isn't a good fit based on what I imagine this ad group to be. Maybe it works somewhere else. I'm going to negate it here. Interesting find, though. Thank you, Amazon, for trying.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, as we sort of begin to put our final thoughts and strategy here, this is just another kind of research-based targeting, or sort of looser, broader targeting. And all the same rules apply when it comes to looser, broader targeting. It's like, yeah, you're going to find some suggestions that are probably going to be valuable that you'll want to double down on and graduate to maybe more exact targeting. And then you might find other things that are going to be not great that you will negate. There's a phrase. If it ain't great, you got to negate. which you'll turn into a negative targeting because you will get the search term report. So as long as you go into this using this frame of reference, you're going to be A-okay. If you just turn this on and you sit back and never look at it, you're going to be missing out on the opportunity to double down on the things that do really well. And you're going to miss out on the wasted spend by not going in and negating things that just aren't relevant or working out for your product.
Right. So as always, one of the key lessons of PPC, you have to stay on top of it. Basically, you have to watch it, you have to monitor it, you have to optimize it. There has to be a system. There has to be an ongoing, recurring calendar event, ClickUp task, whatever it might be, so you don't overlook this stuff. So, but that's something I think, Mike, you've probably preached on this podcast for many years.
I've already got the slogan. If it ain't great, you got to negate.
That's right. That's right. And so it rhymes, so it must be true.
Bingo.
That's how it works.
So final thoughts, great way to expand reach. Like it's literally called expanded product targeting. Research-based things are always nice. So if you are in a sort of growth phase, trying to expand things, trying to find more opportunity, you're looking at competitors, you're using research tools, you're doing all this stuff to find more opportunity. This is another tool that you have in your tool belt to find products that are related to the thing that you're targeting. Probably going to be some overlap with other areas that you're going after. That's probably fine. Like it's not the end of the world if you have some overlapping targeting. Again, you go back, you look at where things are appearing, how they're performing in those appearances, and then you adjust, you graduate terms up to less research-based targeting. So like exact ASIN targeting, exact match, that kind of thing. So I think this is just another tool in our sort of research-based tool belt that can just expand your reach. And just like everything, like nothing is perfect. Things need to be optimized.
Yeah, I mean, if the question is, could I see us using this at Pathfinder, like on a company-wide basis, educating the team, talking about the ins and outs, and then saying, let's roll this out in some accounts and test it. Not something that's so key that we need to tell the client, hey, we're testing this new feature. It's so exciting. Yeah. Now, it's a little bit more low-key than that. Let's roll it out and monitor it. And the one thing, I'm not sure if we mentioned so far in the documentation, Amazon does say that they update this on a daily basis. So actually, they are looking every day to see what they can add and maybe remove. I don't know if they look at the performance and actually take it away for you. I imagine they do. But I don't know about you, but I'm not updating the product ASIN targeting campaigns every day in our accounts. So hey, maybe we're going to benefit from some of Amazon's intelligence, machine learning, AI, whatever you want to call it. They have a lot of first-party data on the back end, right? That's powering some of these things. And if it's plugged into that intelligently, hopefully that everyday update is going to be to our advantage. Maybe what it's doing is finding new entrants in the market that now we're targeting those like up-and-comers or something like that that we otherwise wouldn't have found. Right away. So
for weeks potentially, yeah. Yeah, so that's really neat too. Like if we were just poking around before the call too, looking at the product opportunity explorer, and they have a setting like how many brands we're selling in this niche. It fluctuates. It goes up and down.
Yeah.
As people enter, people leave. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of companies on Amazon, like in any niche. And being able to just have a feature that's just like, hey, anytime a product related to this product shows up, let's just go after it. Updated daily. So that's sort of I wonder how powerful that will be, but it seems like a great little add-on here.
Right. Obviously too early to tell, but something worth noting. Might be a nice benefit of it.
Yes. And one thing to also mention here too is where you see this will be like when you go to create a sponsored product, manual product targeting campaign, there will be buttons for you to enter in an individual product target and then just mark it expanded. So that's where you will eventually see this. I saw this in screen caps today. As I mentioned, there are 3 accounts that I did not have access to this yet. Well, Brent, we've done it.
Pretty solid breakdown. I mean, I'm ready to try this myself. So now that we're thoroughly educated, we have some contextual background for why it matters, how to use it, maybe some gotchas. But thanks Amazon for a new gift here as we roll into July.
Yes. Brent from AMZ Pathfinder, it's always great to have you on the show. I'll see you again in approximately 8 weeks. And for everyone else, I'll be back here next week. Have a good one.
Thanks, Mike.